Hello everybody, Season 15 has started in Diablo 3, and of course I'm here to show you how to finish your seasonal journey or what you'll need to kind of do in order to get it done. It should be noted that once the game launches on the Switch at the beginning of November, you'll have access as Nintendo Switch players to Season 15. However, it will already have been a couple months since Season 15 launched, and with that, you won't have a whole lot of time to finish your seasonal journey to collect those awesome rewards for the first official season on the Nintendo Switch. So I would suggest jumping on that as soon as possible once the game launches. Also, this season's theme is double bounty caches, which means you get a ton of extra bounty loot, which makes things a lot easier, just kind of like, the last season where we had double goblins. So let's jump in. Of course, you can always open your seasonal journey with Shift J at any given point. And your rewards are some awesome portraits, and of course you get your pet, which is this cool little hand pet, and whatever item set that you get for that season. I wanted to quickly look at the portraits before we jump in, just so you can kind of see what they all look like for this season. It's kind of got this like flexing demon and and angel on one side, so it kind of makes it look like your character is flexing on the portrait. But this is how it goes. So it goes from this like stone one, that copper one, to the well, I guess that's more of like a wood one, then to the copper one, and the kind of silver, the gold, and then finally the cool one that you get at the end if you finish all of your seasonal journey. For the pets, you get this cool little hand pet named Belphegor, which is pretty cool. It'll pick up stuff for you, and of course you get your items for your seasonal journey with your gift that you get at each point. So let's start with chapter 1 real quick. There's not really a whole lot here to keep in mind. The socket 5 gems into your gear point, you can actually do this on the same set of gear, so you can get a piece of gear, take all the gems out, and then put them back in, and it'll count for socketing 5 gems into your gear. Just a little trick. Complete a normal rift, you're going to do that probably leveling up anyways. Obviously, you have to be on adventure mode, which I would suggest. So if you're playing on Switch and you don't know what adventure mode is, it's just not playing the main story mode. Once you complete the main story, you'll have adventure mode. So I would suggest doing that as quickly as possible, getting adventure mode unlocked, and then doing all of this stuff, of course. Then you have Kill the Butcher and Kill Siegebreaker, which those are pretty easy to do. Also reach level 50, second chapter, which you won't really get anything for up until you get pretty much to the third chapter. The second chapter is doing an expert rift, which is okay. It's you're gonna be doing a T6 rift at one point. I'll talk about that in a minute. Craft a level 70 weapon or armor piece. Fully equip one of your followers. Raise the blacksmith and mystic to level 12. Reach level 70. I guess this one you'll get your first 2 pieces with. Kill Sidea at level 60 on hard difficulty or harder. Kill Belial at level 60 on hard or higher. Then craft a level 70 ring or amulet and replace a property with the enchanting at the mystic. So this is basically just, reforging a piece at the mystic. There is something that we will mention on chapter 4 when we get there, so just keep that in mind, and that will make that whole thing a lot easier. So with chapter 3, you want to do a master rift. You want to kill the skeleton king at level 70 on master and Gome at level 70 on master. Aside from that, you're going to do all 5 acts for bounty caches. I would suggest turning these in at any point, really. It doesn't really matter as long as you kind of go do all of the 5 acts, get them done. You're going to get an extra cache for it at any point. Do these while leveling it up. It'll make it a lot easier. However, if you want to, just quickly boost up the next chapter, save turning your act bounties in until you hit level 70. So at about level 55 to 60, start doing bounties if you're really concerned about it. Get them all cleared. Don't turn them in yet. Then turn them all in once you hit 70, and you'll be able to get the other important part, which is getting your recipes. So you need to learn 5 blacksmith recipes and 5 jewel crafting recipes. And if you turn in all of the bounties once you hit 70, you'll get these recipes to be able to learn. It is noted that you can get these a lot quicker this season because you get the extra cash, the bounty cash. So even if you don't save your bounties to 70, you can hit 70 and just go do like a few acts of bounties, and you'll get your recipes that you need for this. Makes it much easier this season. Outside of that, in order to get Chapter 4 done, which will give you the rest of all of your gear, so whatever set piece you're getting for the season, you will need to finish a 70 Nephilim Rift on Torment 1. I suggest doing it on Torment 4 or 6, anywhere around there. We'll talk about that in a second, but most classes, the 4 set piece that they'll get by this point typically has some kind of damage modifier, which makes doing those rifts a lot easier. Otherwise, jump into a public game if you can, or jump in with friends, obviously. The Rathma set is an exception to this. Its 6 set bonus is your damage multiplier, so it makes it a little bit harder to get that kind of stuff done, but it is possible. So do a Torment 4 or 5 rift at this point, or 6, which will help it because you will unlock your ability to do a Greater Rift 20, which you can just jump in and do without doing any other Greater Rifts. Once you kill a Greater Rift Guardian at level 70, on pretty much any difficulty, Torment or higher, you'll guarantee yourself a Greater Rift Keystone, and then you'll be able to go do, if you do it on like Torment 5 or 6, you'll be able to go do a Greater Rift 20 solo without having to do any of the other Greater Rifts before, because it'll unlock that difficulty for you right off the bat, which is why we suggest doing a Torment 6. Outside of that, you'll need to kill the Key Wardens on Torment 4, so there's another reason to have it on Torment 4 or higher, which are all in 4 of the acts. So just go get those done real quick. There's a little key icon on your map when you open it up that will dictate where the Key Wardens are in each of the little zones. You want to reforge a weapon property to do a socket, which is this what we were talking about with Chapter 3 Chapter 2 with enchanting at the Mystic. If you just try to enchant a weapon socket onto a weapon, that will work. I believe, unless they fixed it, you can just take a weapon that has a socket already on it and try to re-roll that socket to another socket, and it'll work just fine with that as well. Then, finally, you need to kill Rakanoth on Torment 4 and Urzdale on Torment 4, and that will help out with that. Outside of that, you'll get your full 6 set bonus, and then you can move on, if you really want to start collecting the different portrait frames. In order to get the stash tab, you'll have to get to Conqueror, which is the second to last one. I'm pretty sure that only goes for PC players unless they've changed it. You, on the console, don't really have to worry about that. So let's talk about Slayer. There's just a couple things here. You'll already get the Torment 5 Rift done if you've done it on Torment 6 for the previous chapter. You'll want to get 1 gem to level 25. In fact, just consider this different. Look at this as level 3 gems to 70 by completing Greater Rifts and upgrading them at the end, because you'll need that for Guardian, level 3 gems to 70. So just look at it that way. If you plan on doing the full thing, don't look at this as level 1 gem to 25. Look at it as 3 gems to 70. You'll want to kill the Uber bosses after you're done doing the Key Wardens. They'll drop a little thing. You go to Act 1. Next to the little healer person, there's a door that you could break open. You use them in there. It'll open up the portals to go do the Uber bosses. You'll want to get a legendary item from the Blood Shards at Kadala. That's easy. You're not going to have to worry about that. And you'll want to kill Adria and Asmodan on Torment 7 or higher. Also, Greater Rift 30 solo. At this point, look at it as doing, I believe it is Greater Rift 70 solo for Guardian. Because if you want to finish the full thing, then that's what you'll have to do, which isn't that difficult. Every set in the game for each class should be able to do it, no problem at this point. Then, give Kanai's Cube armor, weapon, and ring for the legendary power. So basically have your Kanai's Cube maxed out. You get your Kanai's Cube in Act 3 at the ruins of Sescheron. Going on to Champion. Level 3 gems to 35. Again, we've already considered this 3 gems to 70. Craft a flawless royal gem at the Jewel Crafter. You get the pattern by doing bounties and opening the bounty caches. Then you'll want to finish a level 70 Nephilim Rift on Torment 10 within 6 minutes. It's really easy to do. Do the other 2 Uber bosses. Master a set dungeon. I would suggest just Googling your set. So in this case, for the Necromancer this season, it's Rathma. So you just search Rathma set dungeon guide and you'll figure out where that is and how to do it. Kill Magda and Izul at level 70 on Torment 10 and reach Greater Rift 40 solo. But again, we're going to do that to level 70 solo. If we go to Destroyer, which this one is kind of similar to the last one, you'll want to finish a Nephilim Rift, Torment 7 within 6, or Torment 12 within 6 minutes, which is, again, very easy to do once you have your set bonus. Level 3 gems to 45. Craft a Hellfire Amulet, which you'll get the recipe for in Act 2 off of Little Squirt. She's a vendor in town. And then you'll be able to get the stuff by doing the Uber bosses in order to craft it. Complete 1 conquest. We're going to see this as complete 3 conquests. We'll talk about those in a minute if you want to finish your full seasonal journey. Queen Erene at level 70 on Torment 13. And Diablo at level 70 on Torment 13. And then Greater Rift 50 solo and extract 20 powers into the cube. Think of that as 40 powers into the cube, because that's what you'll need for Guardian, the final chapter. For this, for Conqueror, to get the cool gold one, it's level 70, Torment Rift on 13 within 5 minutes, and of course for Guardian, it's within 4 minutes. Those are really easy to do. If you're struggling with the speed of it, join a public game. You'll see people like speed running them. It'll make it a lot easier to do. Level 3 gems to 70, of course. This says 55, but we're thinking 70. Complete 3 conquests, even though it says 2. Kill Malthael at level 70 in under 1 minute and 30 seconds on Torment 13. That's pretty easy to do. Just factor in the fact that he has some weird transitions where he's like, you know, being a big butthead and like dying really slow. That counts for your time, so keep that in mind when you're trying to blow him up. If you're having issues killing the bosses really quickly, if you're playing Necromancer and you're playing the Rasmus build, just use the Singularity mages, skeletal mages, and the bosses will just melt really, really quickly. Then you'll want to slay Greed. That's easy to do. You get if you get a puzzle ring, go put it in Kanai's cube with nothing else, and then hit transmute. It'll open up a portal to the vault. Or you could just kill goblins, and they have a chance outside of rifts to open up a portal to the vault, which you'll then go kill Greed on, which is important. We'll talk about that in just a moment when we get to the next bit of the Guardian. Reach Greater Rift 60 solo. Easy to do. Use Kanai's cube to reforge or to augment an ancient legendary item with a level 50 plus gem. This ties in with the Greed one. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then use Kanai's cube to reforge a legendary item. All the patterns can be found on Kanai's cube in order to do that. So in order to get the last one, you'll want to complete a 70 Nephilim Rift on Torment 13 within 4 minutes. Again, just join a public game if you're having issues with that. Level 3 gems to 70. That's nice and easy to do. Complete 3 conquests. I'll talk about the conquest at the end. Kill Zoltan Cool at level 70 in under 10 seconds on Torment 13. This one, if you have the right kind of boss kill potential, is really easy to do, so you shouldn't really worry too much about that. You just zone in, quickly just kill him. Don't worry about the ads, and he'll die very, very quickly as long as you have a high damaging build. Reach Greater Rift level 70 solo, which we talked about before, and extract 40 legendary powers into Kanai's cube. This is made really easy by the fact that you're getting double bounty caches this season, so you'll essentially be able to do that much quicker than you would normally be able to in a regular season. Outside of that, what was I talking about with the Greed thing? Well, if you go kill Greed, you'll get a legendary gem called the Boon of the Hoarder. That has a max level of 50 on it, which means that you can, only get it up to level 50 by, completing Greater Rifts and all that. However, you need to augment one ancient legendary item with a level 50 plus gem. This is a really good gem to use for this if you're just looking to complete your seasonal journey, because you're going to want 3 gems to 70, but those are going to be the gems that you want for your build. So you don't really want to sacrifice one of those gems that you've worked so hard to level up. So the easiest way to do it is also level up a Boon of the Hoarder, which gives you gold and stuff. So it's really nice for just speed running and doing normal rifts. And you're going to be wanting to do that anyway, so level 1 of those up as quickly as you can, get it to level 50, and then just use the Kanai's cube pattern to augment an ancient item with it. It'll get rid of your Boon of the Hoarder, which the next time you kill a Greater Rift Guardian, it'll drop again, so it's not that big of a deal, but you'll not be sacrificing your 3 gems that you have at level 70, which you'll probably be enjoying the benefits of at this point anyways. Outside of that, you'll get your stash tabs on PC once you finish Conquer, and then Guardian is just for the awesome prestige, frame that you get. As far as the conquests are concerned, make sure that you complete the 3, as we stated, in order to finish your seasonal journey. But I already have a guide for 2 of these, for Avarice and Boss Mode, and I'll put a link to the those guides in the description and in the comments, so you guys can just go watch those. They're really easy to do this season, just the gold streak one, which is really easy, and boss mode, which takes a little finesse but is also still very easy. The final one that I would suggest completing is either the thrill or superhuman if you're doing hardcore. And with that, you just have to reach Greater Rift 45 solo without any set items equipped. Super duper easy. Just make sure you use some kind of really good weapon, whether it be an ancient weapon or one that affects your character's stats and skills. Like, for instance, one that gives you a huge damage boost stuff. Yeah, I'm thinking like the incense torch for monks. Make sure that you use that, because then you could just use Wave of Light to clear everything. It makes it really easy. Other classes have the same thing. And then just use generally good pieces. You should be able to do this without any issue. You don't really need a guide on that. Just throw some pieces together, good pieces that kind of augment your skills. Use those skills and then jump into a Greater Rift 45 solo. Outside of that, again, we have the guides for Avarice and Boss Mode, and I'll put those in the description and in the comments. You can go watch those guides if you want to complete those conquests. That is how you complete your seasonal journey this season. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any tips, leave them in the comments below. And remember, if you're playing on Nintendo Switch, you do not have a whole lot of time to finish this stuff. I would suggest doing it as quickly as possible before the season ends. And with that, I am excited for BlizzCon news and potentially a new Diablo game. We'll check back. And of course, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, look at the channel with the weeks following BlizzCon, and I'm sure I'll talk about that, all that stuff. I'll be at BlizzCon, so if you want to meet up, hang out, and all that, I'm sure more details will be found on our Twitter. But with all of that being said, we shall see you guys next time.